Everyone, good afternoon. Virginia Schooley, we'll all keep her in our thoughts and prayers. She looked fine. My wife's a nurse, and though she's still here or not, I think they were taking her out to be checked on. So, hey, good afternoon. It's good to see everyone. And I know some of you came from a long distance today to be here. Where's Mr. Petty? From North Carolina. I've known Mr. Petty a long time. Glad you're here, sir. Glad you're here. But I want to be the first to welcome everyone to the Dennis Jackson Racer Room. And if you haven't had a chance to read the plaque, it's right over here. And if you want to read the story of a good man who's had really a wonderful life, it's right there. So we're really proud of Mr. Jackson and all that he means to each of us. Coach Hood had to go check with his team. I don't think he is still here. Coach, thank you for staying for a minute. Coach Hood and his assistant coaches, but most importantly, our student athletes are 3-0. The best the best start we've had in 23 years. And we're ranked number 25 in the country, and today's all about 25. Mr. Jackson was number 25 on the field just a few days ago, and Coach, if you need a guy that's really, really fast, he's right over here. Yeah. He was fast then, he's still fast today. But Coach, thank you for what you're doing. You've brought pride to all of us, to Murray State University, and please tell the student athletes how much we appreciate them, you, and all your coaches. Most importantly, we're here to honor Mr. Dennis Jackson. And Dennis and his wife, Patricia, so I've lost you and Brandon are here, and I want us to recognize, okay, right there, I'm sorry. Where's Brandon? Right here, good, all right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for sharing Mr. Jackson with Murray State University and all of us over many, many years. And I've had the good honor of being a good friend. He's been a good friend to me, and I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. And Mr. Jackson, thank you again. So this nice new racer room, the Dennis Jackson Racer Room, has been worked on for the last year or so. It's done privately, mostly with private funds, through many generous donors. Many are here today, and we appreciate that. I want to recognize our Director of Athletics, Kevin Saul. Kevin and his staff, a bunch of hardworking people, our facilities management team, Vice President Jackie Dudley, who manages all of our facilities management folks. Thank you all. Thank you for this wonderful room that will be a wonderful addition to Murray State University, and it bears the name of a good man, Dennis, and we appreciate it very much. Also, I want to recognize Tina Burnett and the Office of Development, Carrie McGinnis, Carol Brunn, Vice President Jackie Dudley is here, Vice President Don Robertson, Provost Tim Todd, really every senior administrator here, Dr. S.G. Carthel, Mr. Sean Tooney, and I'm sure I've left out some others. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for what you're doing. Also, I want to recognize our Board of Regents. We have several members of our Board of Regents here, the governing body of the institution. And I'd like to first recognize Mr. Jerry Rhodes, our chair. You're going to hear from Chair Rhodes in just a moment, and his wife, Dr. Judy Rhodes. Eric Krigler, our vice chair, and his wife, Ouija, right over here. And Eric was also on this field a few years ago, and he's really good too. And he always tells me he's got at least one down left in him. So last time I asked him that, he said he might not be able to get up after that one down, but I bet he can, and I know he could still do well on the field. Mr. Leon Owens, he's president of Swift and Staley. Swift and Staley is sponsoring this event today, and they're also sponsoring our game today. Regent Owens, thank you. I think Lisa Rudolph was coming, so she may be here somewhere. Lisa, I don't see, but thank you for all that you do for Murray State. Dr. Don Tharp, I'm not sure if Mrs. Tharp came with Dr. Tharp, but Don, thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do for the university. Of course, we saw Mr. Phil Schooley here in Virginia. Again, we'll keep them in our thoughts and prayers as they go through the rest of the day. Dr. Melanie Schimberger, our faculty regent, is right here. Dr. Schimberger, thank you for all that you do for the institution. And former regent Olivia Burr is here. And Olivia, wait there. Good to see you. This is a special week for me. This is the second time this week I've seen Regent Burr. So it's good to see you. And she was on the board for 10 years, a few years ago. And thank you for being here. My wife, Karen, is here. But let's give our regents and everyone I've just called out a round of applause. There's a lot of alumni, friends, and family here. Thank you all again for being here for this special day, again, as we honor a good man and a former star at Murray State University. This day is overdue, and I'm very glad that this Board of Regents and this President and this administration gets to bestow this honor on Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson has dedicated his life to his family, his faith, assisting young people, and serving public education. And I've watched him do that for many years, even though he's much older than me. He's been someone that I've watched very closely, and again, he's a friend to all of us. He's a friend to Murray State University. He's been a friend to me and an advisor and counselor, and I've had the opportunity to visit with him often over many years. Mr. Jackson's a man of many firsts. He was the first African-American student athlete at Murray State University. He was a star. Many of you watched him play. He was a record setter, Hall of Famer. He was a difference maker on the field and off the field. And again, before you leave today, please read the plaque, and I think you'll learn a thing or two about Mr. Jackson that you may not have previously known. He served as the president of the Murray State University National Alumni Association. I was a young member of that executive committee almost 25 years ago, and got to work very closely with Mr. Jackson at that time, and I learned a great deal from him, and I followed him a few years later as president of that association. He did a wonderful job at that time leading all of our alumni, about 50,000 alumni at that time across the world. He is a distinguished alumnus. He's a career educator and administrator. He's a coach and a longtime sports official. He's a deacon and leader in his church. He's a friend and mentor to many. You're going to hear from some of those individuals in just a moment. And importantly, I cannot tell you the number of times that he's called or visited with me over the years in regard to helping a student get registered at Murray State University. And sometimes he would just show up with a student or two or five or six. And I appreciate that. Dennis has been one of the best recruiters for this institution, and typically a few days after he would be here on a visit or come here on a visit, he would follow up and make sure that they had scholarships and financial aid and had everything just right as they were admitted and came to school here. He's a humble servant leader, never one to seek recognition for himself. But today we're leaving a lasting tribute, and everyone who'll come through Stewart Stadium, every student athlete in the future who'll come this way, will see Mr. Jackson's name and his biography for the history's sake of Murray State University. You know, it's no accident that it's here. You know, athletics are the front porch of any university. They make a difference to an institution, as has been said a few times. It may not be the most important part of a university, but it's the front porch. And we believe that here at Murray State too, and it provides many students an education, and it's a tool to make the difference in a student's life. Dennis, thank you. Thank you for all that you do for this institution. Thank you for all that you've done for this institution. Thank you for your quiet, humble servant leadership. Thank you for your friendship and mentorship to many. Thank you for your friendship to me. I appreciate it very much. The world would be a better place if there were more Dennis Jacksons. Dennis, Mrs. Jackson, Brandon, congratulations. You should be very proud. Everyone, let's give them a round of applause. Now it is my honor to introduce to you the chair of our Board of Regents, former Senator Mr. Jerry Rhodes.
Thank you, President Jackson. I see where Coach Hood had to leave, but Kevin, I think we're in pretty good shape today because Regent Krigler says that as long as we're winning, he's going to continue to wear the same outfit. And Eric, keep that outfit handy. And so I think we're in good shape today, Kevin. On behalf of the Murray State University Board of Regents, it's a great pleasure and honor to be a part of this very historic occasion, which has been so well summarized by our president. You know, as you look around our campus, you can see that many, if not most, of our facilities bear the names of persons who have been very special to Murray State over the years. And we're in such a facility right now, the Roy Stewart Stadium. One of our stalwarts, one of the co-founders of the OVC, and at our December board meeting, our board unanimously approved the renovation of the Racer Room in Stewart Stadium and the naming of the Dennis Jackson Racer Room. And we did this because Dennis Jackson is also a very special person to Murray State. Just like all of the persons whose names are on the buildings and facilities across our campus. Dennis had the courage to be the first African-American student athlete at Murray State and also to compete in an essentially all-white OVC conference. He paved the way for others like himself, and he's been an outstanding ambassador for Murray State throughout his stellar career. And I knew Dennis, and I'm giving away my age here, but he was just one of the guys. Dennis didn't consider himself a pioneer or a trailblazer. Dennis was just one of the guys. He went about his business. He was a star athlete in track, football, good student. Dennis was just one of the guys. But little did he realize the impact that he was having then and continues to have for Murray State. He has influenced countless young lives over the years, and he's brought great honor to his alma mater. And on a side note, Kevin, I think we need to give Dennis at least partial credit for our 3-0 record. Dennis served with me and others on our search committee for our director of athletics, and we recommended our current AD, Kevin Saul, and we're so fortunate to have Kevin. In turn, through the efforts of AD Saul and President Jackson, we were able to recruit an outstanding football coach, Dean Hood. So, Dennis, I'm going to give you at least partial credit for our 3-0 record. And look at the results. I want to thank President Jackson and AD Saul and all the others who were involved in putting this together and making this occasion possible. Dennis, this is your day, and you'll always remember this. We will always remember this, and we appreciate so much the honor and legacy that you've left for Murray State. At this time, I'm going to introduce a fellow regent, and also I'm very grateful that so many of our regents came here today. It's an honor for them to be here to honor Dennis Jackson. Thank you so much, regents, for being here. I want to introduce one of our regents, Leon Owens from Paducah, that President Jackson has already referred to. He's the president of Swift and Staley in Paducah. He holds a master's degree in business administration from Murray State. He's been a loyal alum. He's influenced many young lives just like Dennis has. He's a community leader in the Paducah area, and he's a very close friend of Dennis Jackson, and I'm sure we'll have some comments and maybe some stories about Dennis. Leon, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. To President Jackson, and Board of Regents Chair Rhodes, Athletic Director Saul, outstanding Murray State faculty and staff, and distinguished alumni, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and privilege to stand before you and offer a few words on behalf of our honoree, Mr. Dennis Jackson. In 1941, Murray State University Athletic Director Roy Stewart and the Athletic Director from Eastern Kentucky University and the PR Director from Western Kentucky University discussed a shared vision for the creation of a regional athletics conference. Following World War II, this vision became reality with the formation of the Ohio Valley Conference in 1948. The OVC was and has historically been regarded as a pioneer in racial desegregation. In 1958, Morehead State University, an OVC member university, signed the conference's first black student athlete, Mr. Marshall Banks. And in 1960, the finest place we know signed a Murray native from all-black Douglas High School. And for those of you who don't know, Douglas High School was located on the east side of Murray on L.P. Miller Street, a football and track and field standout who his teammates were quoted as saying he was so fast he could fly. Our honoree, Mr. Dennis Jackson. While Mr. Jackson's numerous athletic and academic honors, accolades, and accomplishments are noteworthy, I would like to spend a few moments discussing what he means to me. On the gridiron, Mr. Jackson wore number 25, which will be prominently displayed today. The number 25 denotes wisdom with a touch of diplomacy, and biblically speaking, the number 25 means to display or demonstrate grace upon grace. And grace is God's love and mercy that he freely gives to each and every one of us, even though it's unmerited. Mr. Jackson was the first black student athlete at Murray State University. Being such, he is considered a pioneer. A pioneer is humble, diplomatic, relationship-oriented, and displays a willingness to endure hardships, take risks, and travel a path that is not already available. Each day Mr. Jackson laced his cleats and stepped on the athletic field, he had to be willing to endure hardships. He did and continues to exemplify humility. He was relationship-oriented, and despite not being able to eat a meal in the same restaurant as his teammates and sleep in the same hotels as his teammates, he demonstrated love and kindness to those who despised him simply because of the color of his skin. For the past 16 years, I've had the personal privilege to worship, travel, attend sporting events, and visit with Mr. Jackson. It's been during those visits my life has been enriched because I have gleaned knowledge, wisdom, and insight that can only be gained from a godly man. Psalm 37:23 states, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way." Mr. Jackson is a good man. His sacrifices paved the way for black student athletes at Murray State, paved the way for black faculty and staff at Murray State, and paved the way for members of the Board of Regents at Murray State. I personally owe him a debt of gratitude for his guidance, encouragement, and support. This institution is the finest place we know, and this room and this dedication is befitting to the finest man I know. God bless you. We love you. Thank you.
Everyone, Mr. Dennis Jackson.
Boy. Really know how to put somebody on the spot. Murray State University. The sweetest name that I know. You know, it's not a surprise to me to see Murray State excel in all kinds of areas, not only athletically, but academically also, because of the people that represent Murray State University. I would say from the bottom of my heart that I believe that Bob Jackson, with that last name, is the best person that I know and the best friend that I have. Murray State should be proud to have such a man to run the university. About my life, there's so many people to thank, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank Giles and Roselle Jackson, my mother and father. You know, it was one of those things that prayer kept us going. It was nothing unusual for me to be awakened at night, hearing my father and my mother praying together. And one of the things that made me so enthused and excited about playing football at Murray is because every Friday night before a Saturday ball game, I would sneak close to my father's and mother's bedroom, and boy, you talk about a prayer meeting. They talked to God about protecting their son, helping their son. And from that, gave me courage to do whatever I had to do on the football field. So, having loving parents, supportive brothers and sisters, and a supportive community. I had a church, St. John Baptist Church, and the pastor who's not around anymore, but before each football game, he would call me in, and we would have prayer together. And so it was sort of like something that was lifted off of you that gave you freedom that you were going to be good in that particular ball game. And it was true. And to those of you who do not believe, please get it from me. If God is on your side, it doesn't make any difference how many other people are against you. If you're right and God is on your side, you will succeed. This is a tough time that we live in. Seems like everybody's going after everybody. But just think about it. What a blessing it is to be alive today. Think about how good God has been to all of us. And we can make it easier on ourselves if we do one thing. That is to love one another. Not only those that love you, but those that don't love you. If we love one another, then everything's going to be all right. But we first got to depend on God. Sometimes, you know, he's so good to us that we forget about where our goodness comes from. We thought walking around with our chest punched out, saying how great I am. No. It's how great he is.
Yes, sir.
How great he's always been. And how great he will always be. I know that you're excited today about football game and all, and I know what you're saying. Why don't you hurry up so we can go get something to eat and get ready for this ball game? Okay. You didn't know that I was a mind reader too, did you? That's also one of my gifts. But I would say to all of you, when I was growing up, I had all kinds of people around me, older people. And matter of fact, a lot of time I would slip off from home and go sit on the front porch with somebody much older than I, because I would just love to listen to them talk and tell about their past. And their relationship with God. And this is one thing that I can leave with you. If you need some help in whatever you're doing, that's what God is for. Things that we can't solve, things that we don't have the answer to, he's right there for us. And he's always put somebody in place for you to talk to. And that was one of the things that when I was at Murray State University, and I would tease some of my teammates about this close friend that I had. You know, they kept thinking that with the last name that I gave him, that he was going to be like me. And I recall one person come to me, said, "Dennis," said, "this Jackson guy that you're talking about," said, "well, what kin is he to you?" I said, birth-wise, he's not. But as a friend, he's my brother. And he was talking about Bob Jackson. So I think every person in this world needs a friend like Bob Jackson. There's never a time that I needed a friend, somebody to talk to, that he wasn't there. He was always there. So I'll say to all of you, we're living in hard times now. It seems like everyone's going after one another. But I'll leave this with you. If we believe and trust in God and not try to solve everything on our own, He will answer our prayers, and we will be successful in what we try to do. God bless you, and God love you, and let us try to help one another and love one another, because this life is too short for us to be fussing and fighting all the time. There are young people out there that need help. and they don't need us fighting with one another. They need our help. So I would like to say thanks to Murray State, thanks to Dr. Bob Jackson. You know, if I ever needed something, a friend or whatever to talk to, Bob Jackson's name would always come up. So the only answer I have is for the problems that we have in the world today is that we love one another and mainly love God. Thank you.
One thing. We all needed that sermon. And take the remarks out about me. But Reverend Dr. Tharp, the people said, amen. Amen. Now, Mr. Kevin Saul, our Director of Athletics, would like to say a few words. And again, I want to thank Kevin and his athletics staff for all the work they've done making this Dennis Jackson room a reality. They've done a fantastic job, and you'll see a wonderful football game later today, too. Kevin, and thank him.
Good afternoon. We're T-minus 53 minutes from kickoff. It's an honor to be with you today. I'll effort to keep my comments relatively brief, but I do want to speak on the pathway that you've created for the young people that are here today. I want to start with a letter from one of your old teammates that was sent to me, Mr. Bob Doty. You probably knew this was coming, didn't you? Dear Director Saul, I'm excited to hear that MSU Athletics will be honoring my track teammate, Dennis Jackson. I have many fond memories of Dennis and our time together on the track team. We were young men expanding our experiences and understandings of the world and our development of tolerances, kindnesses, and insights. We have many stories from that time in our lives. If you're collecting comments from acquaintances of Dennis, I would like to send my congratulations to him via the following. Dennis Jackson and I were recruited by Coach Bill Ferguson to run the sprints for Murray State Thoroughbreds and to bunk together on road trips. As young freshman athletes, we were eager to demonstrate our prowess. Dennis was an elite runner, training and conditioning vigorously during practice. Handoffs were key to our relay national ranking times, so we worked intensely to hold the fourth fastest national time in the 4x100 relay. Dennis is proud of his homecoming, winning touchdowns in football, but it was the relay team's job, undoubtedly a demanding task, to make Dennis fast so he could be the best football receiver and make those winning touchdowns for Murray State University. It was us who made Dennis the star. Exclamation point. Congrats, good buddy. Thank you for honoring Dennis and his many athletic and educational achievements. Sincerely, Bob Doty. As was stated before, my relationship with Mr. Jackson started in January of 2019, about a month before I was named Director of Athletics here. I met him as a part of the search committee for the Director of Athletics position and had a pleasure spending some time with you in Nashville on that day. Mr. Jackson's list of accomplishments is both lengthy and distinguished. Obviously, if you have an opportunity to read through the plaque, you will enjoy doing so. And those have all been very well documented. I want to spend a few moments discussing your impact on our current student athletes. As the first African American student athlete in football and track at Murray State University, currently today we have 330 student athletes in our athletics department. And of those 330 student athletes, we have 37% that are African American student athletes at Murray State University. That's 120. You were also a first-generation college student in your family, first to get a degree. And of our 330 student athletes, 37% of those are first-generation college students, another 120 student athletes. So if you think about the impact of over 60 years ago where we are today, we have nearly 120 of our 330 student athletes here today that are doing, as a regular deal, doing what he did for the very first time here. And I can't think of a better tribute than the pathway that you've created for those 200 plus young people that are here today. And this room will be heavily used as a team meeting space. We'll have a nutrition component in the back. And over 2/3 of our student athletes walk through this room daily, and they will see Mr. Jackson's story. And so it's only a fitting tribute there. If you think about 60 years since you've been here as a student, that's over 5,000 student athletes that have come behind him, and you created that pathway for them. Beyond that, 2 undergraduate degrees from Murray State, a master's degree from Murray State, a lifetime educator mostly in the Paducah Public School System, Hall of Fame inductee in the Murray State Athletics Hall of Fame, Murray State Distinguished Alumnus Award, which is the highest honor that the Alumni Association bestows, and a KHSAA Hall of Fame inductee. Mr. Jackson was gracious to make some comments to our football team on Friday. We played them on the video board after practice, and the audio sounded through the stadium speaker system. He encouraged our student athletes to cherish the struggle, understand and appreciate the support from others, and surround yourself with good people. He continues to lead our good people today, our young people today, if you could see out on that practice field on Friday. Our young guys dialed into that video board in your words. Very much appreciative. To the Jackson family, so appreciative of all the support that you've given Dennis over the years to allow him to make such a fantastic impact. And on behalf of our athletics department, we have a gift for you and your family. On Friday, the football team and all of our coaches signed a helmet with number 25. And I think it's only fitting here that we have a note right down here underneath the ear hole that says, "Thank you for paving the way for all of us." So I give this to you. Today you will see the number 25 prominently displayed all over the facility in well over 100 different locations. Some are very obvious and some are very subtle, so I encourage you to keep your eyes peeled, looking for that number 25. Woven throughout the day today, you will see pictures, stories, and video segments. We appreciate you welcoming us into your home so that we could make some of those happen a couple of weeks ago. You will see our current student athletes, those that are not on the road competing right now, paying tribute to Dennis in a special way. And you have seen these on today, and I want to thank Regent Leon Owens and Swift and Staley for their partnership and support in making these all happen. We did about 450 of these. Every single one of our student athletes has one. Those that are in attendance today will be wearing one, and we have several for the Jackson family as well. Thank you. Dennis, thank you. On behalf of our 330 athletes, thank you for being the first. Thank you for the pain and sacrifice you endured. Establishing a pathway for thousands of student athletes who have followed in your footsteps, and the 330 today who are blessed with an opportunity to earn their education and serve their community. All while representing the racers and competing in the sports that they love. At this time, we will adjourn. We're going to conduct a ribbon cutting ceremony over here, so we'll kind of clear this area out here up front and get Dennis and your family, and we'll christen the Dennis Jackson Racer Room. But thank you. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I hope it is. I want to head off this way, that way you don't have to make a right.
Right.
I think this is going to be the best vantage point right
Yeah, I
here.
think so. Gosh, that thing's.
This way.
Do we need to stack up?
No, we're okay. Well, yeah, let's.
I'm sorry. That's okay. If someone could stay behind, we're gonna have to stack up.
Yeah.
I can,
Walk off the stage.
All right, I'm gonna count to 30. One, two.
Wow.
Are we ready? All right, everybody look here for the picture, and 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
There we go. How you doing?
I knew what I was doing.
Very